Have it stacked so they can grab one. Yeah. Yeah. It's but that's not very interesting, but.
Yeah, I already read this.
Here, John says he's just a few minutes late.
All right.
You see that? Okay. Well, nobody's going to be logging in because apparently that link was not good.
Are we doing like a walk around or something today?
No, we were just going to talk about the fair.
Okay.
This fair stuff. I think we're ready whenever you're ready, unless you want to wait for John.
No, we can just start rolling. We have we been permitted by Miss Fair.
Agenda. There's some more handouts here.
Perfect.
Sorry.
Okay. It really has one.
You already have one?
Of those.
This is the vendor list.
Oh, we had to go on.
I don't really have like a set.
Yeah, we don't really have anything on here, so we can pretty much just start. I just we really need the work session part.
Yeah.
So the topics.
I will just start with. I mean, introductions. I think would be a good starting point. Yeah. New fair board members.
Yeah.
You guys take the lead.
Introduce yourselves. We're so happy you're here. I'm Stephanie Pedraza. Yeah. And do you want to say just like a little bit? Sure. I mean, obviously, your stuff, but yeah, I've been a 4-H leader for 1 year, over 20 years. This is my 20th year. So that's all my kids went through 4-H. I've always been interested in better born, but didn't really have time for. But my daughter graduated. I have an adopted daughter that's 7 that. Coming up through 4-H as well. Yeah, work at Moe's in Astoria, one of the managers. So I hope, and I feel like the fair is business and fairgrounds is a business, so I'm hoping to help make it more profitable. Get people there and more events. Perfect. Love it. Okay. I've been there. I just wanted to go airborne. I think you guys are going to airborne, but I'm just excited to be able to help you guys with fairgrounds and public realm. Robert. Awesome. And I'm Mallory with you guys both know me. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm yes, Bigelow. Fair. Leader. Well, Catherine's our leader, but one of the side leaders. Oh, is this a mini? Oh,
Oh,
make it an entrance.
Why are the chair? Spot down.
Yeah. Mary Jo Gregoire joined the fair board fall last year. I've on property in the county for like 14 years, moved here in Fredericton in 2020, and I was excited to join the fair board and see what kind of help I can be to provide some structure, some order, as well as just, bring new ideas and contribute. It's a working job, a volunteer job, so I'm excited to get my hands dirty and continue to work on that.
I'm Joel Homelak, just been here my whole life. Not planning on having kids. At that point, I joined the fair board. I was planning on having kids. Now my wife's pregnant. Anyways, planning on running kids through the fair and wanted to make sure it was still around and that it was going to be the fair I remember from when I was a kid. And on top of that, I just like going to events at the fairgrounds and want to make sure it continues that way and not just turned into a fair only fairgrounds. So where I live, this is kind of our community center, honestly, is kind of how I see it. So
I'm John Karamanis. I've been in the area about 6 years. I'm very experienced with fair boards and with fairs throughout California. I love being here and want to see the fair grow.
Same, Kyle Sharpstein, I'm the fairgrounds manager. I've been here since January of 2023, the third fair. And yeah, welcome. And say if there's some time that you guys want to meet up with me one-on-one at some point, I can kind of fill you up to speed on some more of the things we have going on that can't really cover at the meeting, but
It's fine, I'm an assistant and here since May 2023, so for the fair, but prior to that, it's the chamber, it's the written for the children farmers. And I'm excited to have you on here, so thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
And she's like a really, really good artist that I just somehow learned at the rodeo. Like, I don't know, I didn't actually know that.
Thank you.
You probably might need to introduce yourself because Jonathan's bringing over here without getting intros.
Okay, I'm Stephanie. I'm new to the fair board and I am a 20-year 4-H leader and I'm excited about helping the fairgrounds grow.
I'm Abby.
Same thing.
yeah, this is all the interviews.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so our board meetings have been pretty busy. We've had a lot of work for the board to do. And so at the last one, we said we didn't really have the opportunity to discuss the fair very much. So we just called a special work session to just kind of talk about where everything was the fair and get everyone together. Because, you know, being public officials, you guys can't talk about the stuff outside of a meeting. So we just got to call a meeting and do it from time to time. I had a couple of notes that I had made throughout the week as I was preparing for this to talk about. One was on the parade. Touching in on where we're at with our sponsorships, touching in where we're at with our vendors. We have our catering quotes that we looked at the last meeting that we need to make a decision on. I had hoped to have a map ready for you guys today, but I did not get that done in time. There's some other things. I mean, there's a lot to talk about. We'll just go through the sections, but the concert, we're going to be doing the an axe throwing event kind of in-house, but with help. And we're going to do like a marksman thing on the side. So we need to make sure we got everything lined up for that. And then we talked about doing a kids tent and we need to be getting the stuff that we're going to put inside of that. So those are some of the things that I'll need to talk about so that I can move forward.
Carol, do you have, I know we don't have an agenda exactly, but do you have like at least categories so we can be like,
I was kind of thinking, I didn't know. I mean, when I put this together, like, so, you know, Kelly retired at the end of last month. And so Kristen and I have been covering a lot of extra. So we threw the meeting and just got the agenda up enough. I did not put together any type of formal action thing. I've really just kind of been working on it as we go and thought we would just kind of have like an open discussion about the things and maybe just hit on like our committees, just like we got vendors. We'll talk about that. Sponsorship. We're writing down. Entertainment. Security. We have advertising and we can talk about and concert. Yeah, I was like, I know there's another one. And then we have these other volunteer, yes.
Volunteer slash board member signups, maybe. Sound good.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah, thank you.
okay. So you kind of threw a list together there. Do we want to start with maybe the one that's going to take a little bit less time and kind of work our way through that, starting with maybe security?
And so that big stack of papers that I had meant to bring up was the print offs for the security. And then and I printed them funky, like I only had one of the cells. But I do have it here, I can share it on the screen.
I thought we were gonna meet with the sheriff.
I met with him and chatted with him, but we can set another meeting with him. We will be meeting with him during the fair, like the week of the fair.
That's not, is that referring to the security team that you said was already booked for this year?
Yeah, so that's kind of where I was going to start with, was what the security company has in the works for us.
And we had to come up with a guideline, or not guideline, days, right?
Yes.
You are.
Yeah, well, we kind of just really based it off of last year, and then we had conversations about trying to get them to do some extra things like the first aid and the parking.
Yes.
I might we'll close this upper section.
Yes, you were there, right, that one. Full screen mode, up. Yeah, there.
There you go. So this is kind of just a summary for the price point. Was a little confusing for me, and this is kind of why I'm like gave me a little flustered because I was trying to sort it by categories of like what of this is security, what of this is first aid, and what of this is admissions. I think the main point is the grand total here is 20,760 with one caveat is that this alcohol by OBS, they pay for this, or beverage service pays for this. So it's actually $1,200 lower than this. So our security bill is about.
What was it
19.
last year? Was it?
It was like 26, but we had an extra day last year.
Oh, hold on.
And then I'll just kind of go through the dates. So starting on Tuesday night, which really this is Monday night at what time do they come in? 8 p.m. Wait. No, this is coming in Tuesday morning at 9 because our vendors won't start setting up till that day. So they'll start coming in daytime security on Tuesday. There'll be someone here. Then they'll have night security. Tuesday night, Wednesday, we've got their command and she does all the cash counting and stuff. And then this is where it's kind of broken out by tickets and first aid and security. And I had worked on those prices. I think they're on that sheet, the yellow one, mostly yellow one.
Is this their price point sheet? Like they're saying this is what?
No, this is like the full fare budget. I'd say I totally dropped the pages on the way up here. So this is the one you want to be looking at. So in the green section, it's broken out where the ticketing is about $7,000 for them to run the admission booths. And then for them to do the security part is 11,000. And then the first aid is 1386.
So they're for sure, they're gonna do the first aid.
They are currently signed up for it. Last year they were signed up for it too, but then with all the fires, their first aid person ended up not being available.
But they're gonna be.
That's what we're planning on right now, unless there's some fire. Right. That was like a week before thing that they had to call and tell us that wasn't happening. And so they've got, their supervisor that's here during the day from, 12 and a half hours. Service gate, so that's down below where, they're keeping folks from driving up in unless they're meant to be there. Yes. Yeah. Main entrance drop off. So this is, let's go here. Yeah, this is where the people mover will be dropping folks off in the upper parking lot. Again, I meant to have a map ready, but we're just running out of time. Campground gate, this is just over here for 4-H, so they're making sure that alcohol is not coming in, especially near the concert, and they're scanning so that we can try to get head counts for our daily attendance. Parking lot gate, so just on the other side of the bridge, there'll be an admission booth there for the folks that want to park and walk in and not ride the people mover to get in. First aid, this was a new one we added this year, was parking supervisor, for them to have somebody that's kind of the lead parking. And then as we get volunteers or even our staff or our temps, that there's one person down there that's kind of making sure that everything's staying in order. Because once it gets out of whack, you can't recover. It gets clogged up and you'd have to start towing cars in order to fix the problem. So that was one thing we added. So that's $400 a day. Event staff is just like they're roaming folks. They're wandering through the fair. They're not at a gate. They're just making sure that if something happens that they can respond to it and be eyes. And then night security, and then the alcohol monitoring is by working beverage service. So Tuesday and Wednesday are pretty similar. They might even be identical, or Wednesday and Thursday. Yeah, 4804, 4804. me see, circle back. At the bottom here, we kind of put some notes here for the security about some of the things that are happening at the fair that day so that they're aware. It's mostly related to like folks that are coming through the service gate or needing to come in. So vendors are coming in on Tuesday. Start doing the 15-minute pass at 5:30, which that's for the 4-H clubs and everybody that come in. Only 2 for any club coming at a time, and then it makes sure that we're able to get everybody out before the fair starts. Because once the fair starts, we're having vehicles up in here. Dog shows of these 2 days, they definitely need to drive up in here to bring all of their extra stuff. So we let them in. Flowers start getting delivered. They do their flower arrangement on Tuesday. Archery shows are Tuesday and Wednesday. And then there's a photographer that's meant to show up that day. Wednesday, add parking supervisor and first aid, Rascal Rodeo. So all the horses and everything that are coming in at the beginning of the fair, they're aware of that. The vet comes in to check on the birds. Dogs on Wednesday. Let's see. What did I do here? I buried these cells somehow. So Thursday morning, the dogs in the archery are down up here, and we start transferring into concert setup. The stage will get delivered 10 a.m. on Thursday morning, and then from that point on, it's the whole team getting this whole setup. So there's a lot of stuff coming in and out for that. Friday. I do not know what's going on here. I think I tried to adjust something so it would print, but now it looks funny. Concert day, bands in around noon. Yeah, this was a note. We've had an issue with every night after the concert, folks just want to go straight out and walk down the hill in front of the office, and then they want to cross the road there, and we keep them from doing that. It's a safety hazard for them, but it also clogs up the parking lot when people have to stop for
Do you
people.
really keep them from doing it?
Yeah.
I didn't keep me.
I didn't. You must have snuck through it before we got it. Yeah. But
I did.
the last 2 years, it was really Kristen and I were like, "Oh crap, look at them," and stopping them again. Like the first year, we're like, "We got to do something different about that next year." And then last year, we forgot to put it on the list, and then the same thing happened. So we made a note of it this year to try to prevent that from happening.
How are you gonna prevent it?
They're going to have somebody move from the concert to that location right as it's wrapping up so that they can be there, making sure folks aren't. Tell them, go across the bridge. Saturday, car show in the morning. So there'll be a lot of cars showing up, and then they'll all leave by 3. Auction at around 1 p.m., but it's at 4, 6, 6. 4. Brand inspector. So these are just really notes for the security to know that this stuff's happening. Bank parking for the auction.
The auction.
Yeah, he has a flyer. We coordinated. We had a couple calls between Katrina and Jeff and Tom, and what we decided we were going to do with the chili cook-off once they were like wrapping up like the tasting part of it and the serving part, they're going to clean up, and then they're going to move on to the stage to do the awards, and then that will buy a little bit of time there, and it'll be a little bit better for doing the awards as well, and then they can start a little bit earlier. But they're going to be planning like 1 or 1:30 to do the.
And do we have like, can we work with the beverage service to maybe have a someone over there serving?
They will be set up, and let me pull up a map. It won't be the map.
Are we done with security?
Let me see here. Was there anything else on here?
One more
It
question.
doesn't like it.
The security staff is gonna help with concert, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So, like here, you see this part. We bring some extra bodies in for this, and then the sheriff's office will also be here for it. But Saturday night, it's not going to be as big of a thing. It's a non-ticketed
Right, I
thing.
meant Friday.
Yeah. Yeah. But they will be extra, they will have extras up here even on Saturday night. Without having to do all the admissions and all of that. Hopefully it's not as rowdy as a crowd. I'm trying to think if there's anything else particular security that we really need to cover. We've got working with the lights. I have 2 quotes. And I'm just confirming with them if delivery is included on one quote or if this was the price for the rental and they're going to try to charge me a little bit more.
They require that it's them that delivers or can someone, I mean, how big are the lights?
They're like trailer ones, but they're delivering 9 of them and they're coming from Portland. The local rental company doesn't have the number of lights, so they bring them in on a trailer 9 at a time. Yeah. But I've got quotes from them that are good through the month, so it's just confirming which
With
one.
the security part of it, do you need something more from me? So I know security and parking kind of tie together.
Yeah. We will need to come up with how we want to lay out the parking lot. That will be a big one. We'll want to figure out exactly how.
So who did it last year? It was the fair board, right?
Last year, I think I had 2 seasonal guys out there setting it up.
Okay, but were they familiar with how it was done previously?
I mean, we took like an aerial map and showed them, and I drew some
How-
sketches on it, and then I got whatever they ended up with in their
It worked pretty good.
interpretation.
Okay.
Last year, we did better than the year before. The first year, I think, let me pull up the map, it'll help.
Imagine we could probably, so we're not gonna have,
Pre-COVID, it was really, it seemed like it was very systematic.
yeah. The big,
'Cause I
well, I think
didn't
back
like-
then it was the sheriff's posse, wasn't it?
Right, and so I was like, we have an aerial video, like photo of what it worked
Yeah,
like.
as long as we have that and then enough people to man it.
Yeah, that along those lines, because it's related to volunteering, they'll tie together. Did the security company know that there'll be volunteers helping them? And then they're kind of like trying to coordinate them? Do they understand that?
I told them we are going to be working to get volunteers and temps potentially as well.
Okay.
But the volunteer piece, we won't really know
Right.
how many we have. But that's our goal, is to try to get,
Cause the security company is only allotting one person for that, right?
yeah, and they're just kind of
Yeah.
being the
That's what I thought.
continuing point, and then they can also be like communicating with the rest of the security team and keeping them in the loop with what's going on. Way too many things going on. Our internet has been a little messed up as well. We've got an issue with the link between the fairgrounds and the county servers, and IT has basically gotten to the point where like it's a CenturyLink issue or a Charter Spectrum issue, and Spectrum won't admit they have a problem. And so we solved the problem in the office, but on the Wi-Fi it's still funky. It's something with the VPN. Yeah.
The spectrum I'm saying was not just not either. I'm assuming you're saying it's going in Ethernet directly, it works and it doesn't with Wi-Fi, that's weird.
It's, I mean, the internet is, everything is connected, but like our phones weren't working because of it and the VPN wasn't working. This, we can scroll back in time. It's the wrong button.
Is this something that you want to just cover with the parking team? As far as,
Yeah,
I think you said that that's what you're looking for, the parking team to
yeah,
do a layout.
yeah,
Police is excited to get started.
yeah. And so we can work on a map layout.
Oh,
But, you know, one of the issues is when you have it running this way, people just keep this line going and then it eventually blocks it. And so we turned it to where it ran this way and that worked much better. So those are just little things like that. It's,
Can't we just put like yellow tape out there?
people park on the other side of the yellow tape.
Oh,
That's what they do.
They'll even park 3 wide. They'll start sandwiching in the people in between the thing. And it's like, you got to have somebody out there that's really going to take control of it and make sure that it's going.
Okay, do we need to coordinate to compile a list of volunteers for this, like for one?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things like the volunteer teams like, what, put us in, what do we need to do? So, if it's, I think the big thing is figuring out the schedule that we need, so we can do that quick. Cause it's really the 4 days and these many slots, these many people. I think the bigger part is gonna be like finding those groups, we give a lot of people reduced fees, waived fees, really leaning on them to.
And I know we've talked about it before, with the PBL stuff, they pull
Yeah.
together athletic teams.
Yeah,
And I don't know, say, hey, we'll give the program $200 if you volunteer those.
yeah, and
Do you have an age expectation for the parking lot though? For you?
High school.
yeah, I mean, we've had high school students doing it. I can ask
Especially if you have
the
a
insurance if there's a specific question, but I think.
Yeah.
I think
Since there's an adult assigned out there as a supervisor, security.
I can definitely send some emails, knowing that the school districts will be closed. Some
Yeah.
of them will be closed for July.
Yeah,
Like my friend works with Rube, I can contact the story first.
I'm pretty sure the girls basketball team, when we worked with them, said that they would specifically help us.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And so there's things like that. There's other service groups, Kiwanis and those, but yeah, we need to really build that schedule of what we need for volunteers.
You guys already have a layout on the schedule. You can shoot me in an email.
We had what we did last year.
Just need to build it and then
Cool.
I can send that out some all.
But there are some changes, like for our inflatables, like we're only doing 2 inflatables this year, so we need way less in that. But then we also are gonna do this activity up here, and so we need to find volunteers for that. I do know that Kiwanis has said that they are very interested in helping us. I think they would be happy to get a donation towards them as well. But, I am trying to dial in these numbers. Really, I'm trying to get all of the numbers set this week to tell us exactly what we have left. But our balance in our budget on this tentatively right now, with a couple of placeholders, is 34K. So I don't know what you guys are thinking as far as a budget for making those types of donations. But if it was $1,000 a day for the 4 days, that's $4,000, and that would be.
For, like for instance, Kiwanis.
So we haven't used the Kiwanis since I was here.
Oh, okay.
They ran a booth one day last year, and we let them do it like as a fundraiser, so they
Oh.
kept their proceeds.
Oh, okay. I like that.
I'm understanding the year before, though, before I started, they made an agreement and they paid them like $5,000, and they were supposed to cover parking and admissions for the whole week.
Oh.
And I think everybody felt like they got overpaid for what they provided.
Gotcha.
That was also a funky year. It was a really funky year. That $1,000 would be like for separate groups of volunteers, not necessarily all of it going to one.
As a basis, just because I'm a friend of the PBL district. I think I can ask I can ask that family and see what they pay the sports teams for the PBL. And use this as a basis.
Yeah.
Like, hey, how much do you pay the sports team to be there all day?
Right.
And run clock and run, what I mean? Just sort of as a base if you want.
And how much would they make at a
Feel
car
it
show or a car show or car wash? How much does that
Yeah.
make at a car
But you know
wash?
what I mean, to kind of give yourself a basis, like what is fair to pay a team to be there all day
Yeah.
and volunteer?
I would think, if you had a group for a half a day, $500 seems like it would be decent amount for a group.
A lot to get in.
A 350 is usually for the team to come, but not for.
How many people did the Kiwanis supply, do you know, for that 5,000?
I don't know. I know it wasn't ideal. That's all I know.
Yeah.
And they've done some changeover in their organization. They like disbanded one and then reformed and merged another group.
Well, it might be good for us to, by our next meeting, if anybody has groups that are interested, that we think they're donation based, we can kind of wrap our head around how many there are and how many people they might contribute. Is the thing of it is, right, it's not like the whole group comes one day, right?
You'd like
spread
part in the
out.
morning, part in the afternoon, some shifts or something like that. They can, half of their team can cover the morning and half can cover the evening.
That's the kind of thing, like with PBL, it'd be like, okay, golf has it this weekend. So then the Morton golf team would show up and they have it that weekend. The next weekend it'd be, depending on the, you know,
Because everybody's doing summer ball right now.
Yeah.
like they're doing sports right now. It's high school teams doing sports. So that'd be the way to be like, okay, this
That's
is
at least a way to
The
connect.
girls basketball team has
I like
Tuesday.
you know,
It's not, isn't it like, is that not coach weekend or no contact week or whatever it's called? It's been a while since one.
don't there. It's I mean, like I know Astoria Coach Teague doesn't require all girls to play, but
Yeah, there's like an OSAA
Yeah.
thing where,
ish.
yeah, I mean, it's not a no contact, it's just a, you know, you don't have sport, you don't have practice.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right, but it's, yeah, isn't that week?
It's usually the week of there, yeah.
it is a week of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's because there was, yeah, there's no practice, because there was a person that is having some concerns about moving the fair date, because then it won't be the same week as the non-OSAA rule. Yeah, so.
But this year it is,
Yes.
it might give us more options.
They could
An example of the Astoria women's, the basketball team, they received oldest, like, their fees were waived for the rental, so it was a
Nice.
$1,400 rental fee that was waived. Would
Yeah.
we still consider giving them a donated services donation, or would that be?
Oh,
No,
that would be us,
That would be like a,
yeah.
okay.
And they said that they would,
Yeah.
and I think they would. Yeah. I would have been some color to it.
Yeah. So there is quite a bit of work to finding additional sponsors and volunteers still, so.
So are there any other groups like that that have already committed and given their discount, no fee?
Can't recall.
Who else? We definitely have tracked who have gotten a discounted fee or fees completely waived with the intention of following up for
Okay.
volunteer when that comes up. So
Yeah.
on top of my head.
Okay, and so I'm on the volunteer committee, so happy to connect with you and we can figure out how we're gonna connect with them or.
I know we had those set, and then my hope is to have them help with the Westphalia. I think that would be a really good thing for them. It's in their wheelhouse of horses and all of that, so.
Yeah, so the earlier we can get a hold of them too, and like making sure they remind them what their commitment was.
Don't go out of town.
Hey, but there's so many days that
I can look them up.
they can commit to.
So the big ones I think that I kind of have on the radar for needing volunteers for Rascal Rodeo. Our axe throwing event activities that we're doing up here, we need volunteers to help us with that, for the marksmanship side, right? Parking and then the two inflatables that we have, we'll need people to supervise those.
So those were gonna be in concert with the carving, right? Isn't that what we?
They'll be next to each other, but I mean, the carving group's not gonna.
Oh, they'll be going on at
work.
the same time.
Potentially, I mean, we could schedule them because the carving group does 4 1-hour shows throughout the day. So, and then the axe throwing is going to be an hour or 2 hours or whatever. And then, I think we can coordinate those 3 events to kind of.
So we really only need one or two one volunteer all day
Yeah.
for the whole thing, really. I mean, and then does the carving guy doesn't need a volunteer all day?
No, he's all self-contained.
Wood for the carving guy?
I have not. I did have a conversation with her today. She was going to be talking to their team about other types of wood. She said they really would prefer to just have a redwood or cedar. And then the other part of the conversation I was trying to tack with her on was, so like how does this work at other spots? Like if we're getting this donated for like the carvings, like can you tailor a carving towards the sponsor? She said we could do that as long as whatever they have is something that can be done in an hour or so. But at any rate, we can offer a carving to whoever's going to be donating it. So my intention was to reach out to Lindsay, because last time I talked about needing wood, she was like, oh yeah, I think we can get that. The other is I could call Nuveen or I can call Nygaard, and I'm certain between one of those 3, they'll be able
The
to
hard
get
part
us.
is cedar.
Yeah. Yeah, but it can be chunks. So if they have wood that they're not necessarily, that's too short for them to use, they could be long
Yeah.
enough. Even if they got like scraps at the yard, they're cut off. I don't know how it works, but
The way that works is they get turned into bolts.
Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah.
When you're talking about volunteers for the bouncy house group, I thought that they supplied someone.
they have one person, but we need to provide probably 2 additional people. for them. And it's still really uncertain with Job Corps. I think they were having a hearing.
Right.
Yes.
I just sent a message to Seaside High School principal looking for groups and what they would be, maybe what that would look like. And so we'll talk to them, and I sent a message to OSET. So I think OSET would be happy to help with the rest of the I think they would really like that.
Is there like a Eagle Scout around here or anything, or is that not something we have around here?
No,
Yes,
there
they
is.
do.
Do they look for, I mean, they're generally pretty responsible people.
Their projects would be over by now, like for Eagle Scout. You're thinking like the Eagle Scout project or?
Just
I
the volunteers.
Yeah. Just the 509 is usually.
That's cool. I think what I sent you,
Okay.
I think that's what, remember when I
Is that the
sent
one in
you,
Seaside?
they were doing Warrenton. That's one that was doing that axe throwing thing. The
Oh,
marksman
okay.
thing. That's what I sent you. That's
Got
one.
okay.
Okay.
Okay, so we've hit on security. We've kind of gone over a couple of things here and there, but do we want? And volunteers, so do we have anything else on volunteers?
Parking.
So those two wrapped up then for right now?
I think so.
Kind of know.
Unless there's anything particular that you guys want to change direction or have us focus on.
Okay.
And we're talking through it.
Yeah. Okay, so then volunteers, we've kind of talked through that a little bit. Maybe we hit on a couple more pieces there.
Yeah, and then I'd say the other part connected with the volunteers, just, the board schedule piece, if you had any other input on that. So we've started like a daily schedule for the board members to come and help each day. And so we'll share that with you guys too, so now that you can be tied in there. And I think we had it kind of chunked out to where it was like 5 people on any given day between the 7 of you, not necessarily need to be, every day. But then, the concert's pretty hands-on, and then vendor setup day could be helpful to have extra hands.
Have we been in close contact with Matt with the concert, and he will be there? And
I have not talked to Matt about it. And
He said last time we talked, he said he would be there.
he says he's in. He'll make whatever happen when he gets here. I've been having a hard time getting a hold of Brittany. I have a few questions for her.
okay, so let me know because I can get a hold of her.
The most important things for the concert. If we want to move on to concert, we can. totally do that.
The owl is off, the camera's off, it looks like transcript is still.
Oh, it's okay, that looks
Well, I was wondering what that noise was.
Oh, it's that one.
I see the lights again. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now it's eyes. And
I like it. That's
it's back up.
Well, do we do we have anything else to talk about for volunteers though, specifically like in different areas or?
I know it's
Yes.
board related, but I did call, because Wes came and needed, job force down,
Yeah.
right? I did reach out to Matt and I was like, hey, what, because the gun club shoots before fair.
Yeah.
I know some of the kids have animals, but would you be open to this? So I kind of put a bug in his ear. He said he would talk to Wes beyond that, but then I remember here, I know this is Wes's thing, but I'm really excited about it. And I really wanted to take off for him. And I have a note here about Swanus wanting to help, because I know he mentioned something about having a booth.
So what Job Corps was planning to do was like do a workshop.
Yes.
And I think it doesn't have to be, it's not like the other stuff we're looking at. It's like every day we need people.
Right.
It's like 2 hours one day.
Right.
Or something like that.
But he wanted booth space in the expo center, right? Ish.
The Job Corps already had a booth and they were going to do it there. Yeah. That's what it was. And so while Katrina's not with Job Corps, I do have a call set with her tomorrow which that might be good to loop you in on because it's open class stuff. And I think she's just looking for inspiration to get herself motivated
Okay.
and working on it. I think she was grinding on it pretty good over the weekend. She was sending some draft flyers and stuff like that. But I was thinking that after today, because I think that hearing about the restraining order on shutting down Job Corps was supposed to happen today. And so there may be no more information tomorrow. Yeah, and I really don't know what that looks like. If it's, they don't have students available, but if their staff is still available, would they still come and run their booth? Because really the main point of the booth for them to be here is to recruit job corps.
It'd be kind of hard to recruit though.
If they're not allowed to enroll people. Yes. Exactly. But I mean, like I said, even if they don't have students on campus, they still have faculty that.
There, some,
Don't have anything to do.
yeah. What about Troop 509? Would they consider you part of it?
I know.
No, okay. Well, yeah, so if the job corps thing fell through, if they ran, I mean, obviously it wouldn't be a job corps booth, but it would be a
Workshops.
booth,
Yeah.
a booth about their club or whatever they call it, troop theme. And then they would help kids set up their derby cars. And Wes made it sound like derby cars are already done. It's just a matter of decorating them.
Yeah, he made it sound like they were pre-cut,
They're like-
pre-shaped.
Yeah, so it's not like it's, yeah, it's not like a,
Assemble,
you know, a
paint
kid
it.
couldn't help do that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that they're still doing fine with derby
I
cars.
mean, I know one gentleman, they're gone all summer.
Well, and they also, we were hoping that they would have any volunteers to help with the X.
Yeah, it would be, I mean,
So it's like a 3-for-1. That's where my brain's going.
Yeah.
That it would be like, hey, you want.
it'd be helpful to have a few extra volunteers around the fair. I mean, so who's gonna be in charge? I've never been here for a fair, so who's in charge of like emptying trash?
We, yeah, we have,
Yeah, no, but for real, who's in charge of that?
so maintenance, head maintenance,
Take
and
that.
then. So hopefully I'll have all the background stuff and everything dialed in and I'll be able to get you guys to know next week. We have a tentative start date for next
So
week.
Kelly's new position
New-
is,
yeah.
okay,
Right.
gotcha.
So it's very close. I tried calling HR several times today to see if they had an update on how his screenings were going, but
Wait, are you anxious?
I'm just, what did he, I'm just ready.
It's also like we've had hired people coming and doing it. It wasn't just Kelly going around and clearing
Yeah,
up
I
garbage.
figured
bags.
as
I mean,
much.
I went and cleared garbage bags.
And then there was part-time, there was the part-time help that we're doing too, right? I'm
Yeah.
assuming.
Yeah, we have two seasonals. We have Brendan who started on Monday, and then we have a new Kelly that's starting tomorrow morning. So we have two seasonals that will be up to speed. And then we've hired temps in the past.
They used to have groups do it, like Boy Scouts did it and they did the MFC. One year it was. That was football did it one year. I was gonna say, I know that our Boy Scouts did it at one point. I don't remember who else.
We talked about hiring a janitorial company or temps. I mean, we'll have to likely get some temps to help fill our needs, even with, because like the parking, we can't guarantee that we're gonna have enough volunteers. We need to have
Yeah.
enough, and then our stagehand work we need to get. So those are two of the things that are on my to-do list still to work on. But I think pretty much everything else is ready except for that particular piece. It's like, so what typically happens with that, at least the last several years since Kelly's been here, is the temps or the seasonal workers, they'll kind of like get the bags and they'll pile them up, and then Kelly would, or one of the seasonal workers would take the cart around and they pick up the trash from particular locations. And it seemed like that worked well. I mean, we stayed up on it pretty good, but when those bags start piling up and they don't tell anybody that there's piles of bags, then that can start to look a little trashy.
But
So
that's
if you-
part of what the board members here, that's kind of like, we'll kind of keep an eye out.
The 4-Hers take out trash in the barn
Yeah.
to make sure that.
Yeah, there are different areas.
Um,
Yeah, there's always a job that we have to do.
So yeah, and then having, more board members and more eyes out there. It's like, if you see something, let us know and we'll get someone over there to clean it up as quick as we can. And then after the concert, there's usually lots of folks that want to stick around and help out. And we try to at least get all of the trash picked up like first thing. And then we can worry about cleaning the other stuff up as we have time. If the trash stays out though, the birds get to it and it turns into The other volunteer thing would be to help with the admissions during the concert. I talked with the gal from the regatta and it sounded like they will be willing to help with that as well this year. They've done it several years. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you'll have the bank team there, then that will cover that. And we'll have TCB there running, the scan, they'll be supervising the scanning piece, but having extra bodies with as many scanners as possible, getting them in and it's done.
We talked volunteer perks. So in the past, we provided a concert ticket for each shift, for each volunteer shift, and then included admission due for the entire day. So that still is okay.
And that's for, how much volunteering? I don't know, what's a shift?
First shift depends, 3 hours, 4 hours.
Okay.
I mean, if we were making a donation to them, we wouldn't give them the tickets, but if they're just an individual that's coming in.
The call for volunteers.
How much is a concert ticket and admission? Like, what's the value of that deal for them?
It's right now they're 30, but the week of the fair, they'll go up to 35.
And then how much was the concert?
That's what it includes it. So, I mean, technically, if you looked at it that way,
Oh, no.
the concert ticket is 25 and admission's 10.
Okay.
So,
I mean, yeah, that's we can get 4 hours of help for $35.
right.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. Oh, and we don't really have much to offer them, without the carnival. That's the one that the fairs use a lot. They'll give you like an unlimited bracelet or a handful of tickets for the carnival to get people to volunteer, especially the younger folks. There's a lot of conversation to have around volunteers. It's kind of the crunch time we're getting into we're finally getting things dialed in enough to know what our volunteer needs are.
No, I think that's just so I can open it up if we want to.
Yeah. Okay, so right now with volunteers, you are gonna reach out to 509, check with them. I reached out to the principal at Seaside High School. He said, get him an email and he'll shoot it out to everyone. So I'll work on putting that together, get the okay to be able to push that out, hopefully by tomorrow. And then, volunteers, what did you say?
I was
You were gonna talk to Astoria High School, basketball coach.
I mean, at this point, we're just looking for days that they're willing to without necessarily a specific task that they're doing.
Okay.
Well, connected to volunteering, I guess this would be a good time to hit on this because it doesn't really fit anywhere else. But we talked about the parade, and if that's something we want to be in, if we do, we need to sign up and get people together to do it. I'm pretty sure Tom was willing to do it. I haven't.
But he did say after the parade, he wants to take it to all medals so they can have, so they can weld the chain on for fair time.
Yeah.
So they'll have it on site so they can make the right thing, but he didn't know if he was driving or you were driving or.
Yeah, or if we were doing it at all, so.
Yeah.
Hey, do we want to do it? I mean, it'll be before your next board meeting, so.
I will not be able to, sorry, but I think it's really.
Yeah, I can't really do it.
Is it, who is on, is it for age kids or, I mean, I don't think we're very exciting, so.
Yeah, I mean,
Can we throw candy at people?
yes, yeah.
And
What's
we're
that?
here anymore.
So last year that was the majority of it, yeah. Well, I'd say the Bellinghams were probably the majority.
Well, that's crazy.
And then,
Do that again, with the Jason's group.
yeah, I mean, we need to have bodies to be on it in order to do it. And so what we had done last year, we got the candy. I mean, I think we had plenty of candy that we would have made it through the fair, but we had so many people on the float that the candy went really bad. It was like, not all of you need to throw it out. Because we did spend like $400 on candy and it was still going fast. But then we also had handbills that we were handing out for the fair.
Oh, okay, so that's like board members do that, or.
Yeah,
Whoever.
anybody that wants to go on it, I mean, if you guys can do it,
You just
then
kind of walk alongside and hand out the.
hand them out to
Yeah.
folks and let them know about the fair.
I'm sorry, I won't be here. I will be in Vegas.
You guys won't be here, you won't be here.
I usually have
Thank
the,
you.
I usually here, but.
But-
I'm out of town.
I just sent additional list to see if the group would want to do that.
Okay, so if.
What, you can't walk?
You can sit in the people mover.
You planned this out, didn't you?
I can get a couple of kids.
Not my
I'd love
choice.
to go on it, but I'm stuck doing the most float.
Yeah.
And we go
What
through
happened?
8 cases of tapping.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
It's impressive.
It is on Friday.
It's gonna be a busy day.
The parade begins at 3 p.m.
So then the other option is not having a float and we still do handbills without having.
Well, it's not a float, it's just the people.
Yeah, we have a float that's ready to go.
Yeah, if to do it, then like definitely there's no sense in just walking it, like having a people mover is a.
But it's just if we've got people to be on it, if you guys want to, ideally somebody from the fair board is part of it.
I can commit to whoever's at my house, they're going to be involved in handing out.
Fair board meeting.
No, we didn't go last year. We need to go anyway, so. I usually walk the opposite direction. So you just kind of get done.
Not like you're supposed to do it.
So I would say, like, let's try to make it happen.
Okay.
If possible. So I'm sure he's having dread, correct?
He said if nobody else, but I think I'm not gonna be anywhere, so.
Oh, he loves to do.
He had a good time last year.
He's a good man.
So driver, Matt's family, I'll be here.
I don't know. We'll have to connect with Matt and see if he is.
Yeah.
He's straight critter.
Yeah.
And if Stephanie gets some of her kids, I
I'd probably get like maybe
What about
one or
this?
two.
Jason, crazy.
And I can ask Tess if there's FFA students that would be wanting to do it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
We had that one group that we, that they had that money for all the schools, but contacting them and asking them to help us. They said they would help us.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about the working watershed folks.
Like, pull together.
Yeah, even if like they're not
So they gave me $170,000 here. Didn't want to pay.
OHA banquet.
They paid.
They paid.
Oh, did they?
Yeah,
What
but
was it? It was.
It's the resource dinner. that-
Yeah. That's what it was.
That's the same person I need to talk to about the wood. And so I can ask her if she's got some
She
contacts,
said definitely they would volunteer.
Yeah,
if they've
I
got.
was trying to think of who that was.
Yeah.
And then the other one was Coast Guard Auxiliary.
Okay.
And then also, they, the FW's got an auxiliary and American Legion's got an auxiliary.
Are you able to contact them? You got this stuff
No,
going on up
I'm
here.
not part of the group.
Well, I don't think any of us are either, so.
I know who they are. They're doing, on the 4th of July, they do their own voting for in that booth. So they're all maxed out on 4th of July.
Yeah.
Fairgrounds, they may want to do something for the fair, but
Yeah, I don't-
they're stretched pretty thin too right now. Because they do a summer baseball league in Warrington and they've got a bunch of other things going on. They're doing Fort Stevens their weekly or monthly conference and stuff like that.
Okay, so I will get registered and then I will start an email with you all and say this is the plan. And if you all can reply back with what you have sorted out on your pieces.
Did we do what? What do we have last year?
We took the people mover and then I've got a bin full of decorations that are like red, white, and blue and flags and balloons, red, white, and blue balloons. We had,
I think some of the clubs had their banners or something, their signs, saying what they were.
I think we had the FFA banner and we had a 4-H banner, I
Yeah,
think.
you have to.
And then we had some banners for the fair that said, Clatsop County Fair, these dates, Joe Nichols. And then we had handbills printed off. And so if we're gonna do it, we're gonna have to get those handbills printed like really quick. Like, it may not even be possible to have them printed this short a notice.
I think too that we might need to get new banners though too, since the city signs will be going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Banners that we have will be occupied.
You know what, maybe is there, does the
I can
schools
put
have
together
some
a,
kind of a band, like a brand, some kind of a band they can set
Jazz
up?
band or something.
I think
Jazz band they can set up.
pretty much all of,
on the people mover?
I think pretty much all those programs are, if they're doing the parade, they're already,
Great.
they're already doing.
Yeah, they got everything.
I can help put together a banner really quick on Canva that you could just, it would be so quick and it could collaborate all of the things you need to collaborate. And it could be generic where we can use it every year, have FFA 4-H, and then have our logo in the middle. The 4-H kids for whatever kids want to go in it, they can wear their 4-H logo shirts or their club shirts, like team shirts, club shirts.
Well, I think there are other clubs that are in it as well,
Yeah,
like on their own.
right.
Well, yeah, some of the clubs do their own thing in the parade too.
Okay, perfect. So we will put it in for it. We'll say we're gonna do it.
Banners, handbill, and candy. And people. We need people to move.
So what if, volunteers want to volunteer more than one shift? Can they get like more days of fair? Or how would?
I think we gave him, if it's like one guy did like 3 shifts so that he could bring his whole family. to the
Okay,
concert.
that's what I was curious about, because I think I might know some people that would do that.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's a good approach,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
so I think we're good with volunteers. Anything else on that one?
Yeah.
Where do you want us to start putting our name on this?
Hey, we're gonna be here anyways.
Well, that's my thing.
Well,
Like,
it's all
I'm
three
literally
of us.
going to be.
We will be.
And so if we think we're pretty good on that being what the schedule looks like, we'll set it up for like an online.
Right, you said
Yeah.
it. I will make your read it.
That way y'all.
There's just, there's so much to do on a regular month, but this month it's been.
Okay,
All right, so back to
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, I think I think the big thing is deciding on these 3 quotes. I did not reprint all of the quotes, but we basically had Kenny Hageman for like $18 a plate. We had White Cap for 22 person a plate. Yeah.
How are we gonna make a decision today? Because we can't really make a decision, right? That we can't vote.
I think you guys can provide me with,
Your 1, 2,
consensus
3.
for it. Because I mean, it's like all of these agreements for the fair. It's like, once I know this is the direction the board
Okay.
is
Okay.
leading towards, then I'll get through it. And I don't even know if all 3 of them are still available. That's the other thing I have to follow up with them on.
Okay, so I'm going to lead that conversation really quick and just say, I strongly encourage us going with White Cap Catering. The reason being is we have not ever had an issue on the grounds with White Cap Catering, with any other staff or anything. We also know that they are very cut and dry. It's $22 a person. Easy. There's no, if you do this, if you do that, it's going to be different dollar amounts. There's also the gratuity already included in it. And so we don't have to feel that obligation and be in that weird spot of what we pay at the end of that. So that is my 2 cents. That's where I.
How many years have they been doing?
They've done it 2 years.
And I'd say Ribs by Rob is obviously a better choice in my opinion. Because for $22, instead of getting $2 a pound pork butt, you're getting prime rib. And I know a lot of people that don't eat pork, honestly. And if we don't want to spend $22 for 18, we can get ribs, or 17 for pork butt. And so for me, that's a little cheaper. And he said gratuity was included in that. So
Well, he said it wasn't that.
no, he said he doesn't expect gratuity in the state of Oregon. It's not required.
Yeah.
So that's in other words, better.
So, yeah, and just to like give you like a little like background on we've had some issues with some kind of back and forth, and I can let Kyle share on that if he'd like to, where things have happened that did not go smoothly.
With Ribs by Rob? Or
Yes.
We talked about that during our last session about what the challenges were. he had staffing issues, which he plans to address this time.
Yeah, so I wasn't here when Rob did the catering up there before, but then we had him the next year, and like the main issue, and it was a culture change for all of the vendors, not just Rob, but about telling them they can't drive in and out and the amount of the footprint that they could take up just in his regular vendor booth. That's really the only issue I've had with him. And then he chose not to come last year, but he's coming this year to be a food vendor.
Yeah.
I mean, my opinion is any one of these three is going to be a good meal. I think something else to add to the conversation, I was told by Paige this morning that she is leaving Romeo. And so I've had a conversation with Eric with Romeo, who's our production, team. And they don't know yet who's going to be the on-site person for that, but it's certainly not going to be somebody that's done it the last 2 years. And so again, I don't have a preference either way, but that's going to be an additional challenge with
So
a new team all trying to make all this happen.
So Romeo is the group that oversees like our concert, like they're the production.
They're our
the
talent
manager,
buyer. And so we pay them a percentage and they deal with the contract, they deal with the pricing and contract negotiations and then making sure that we have all of the requirements for the contract with the bands lined up and everything for a real professional production.
Well, I just want to second your recommendation.
And I didn't really finish, but also it's like he has such a reputation in our county. People hear Rich by Rob. They're like, oh yeah.
He's done a lot
I
of
won't go
events
there.
lately. He's been really active in events. I
I
think
mean, like if there's
previously-
people here, it's Rich by Rob. They're going.
Yeah, I think previously when he first started, which may have been when he was here in previous times, he didn't have as much experience on events, and he's on almost every weekend.
That's what we get.
The 3 points. The son was very, very well.
Oh,
And like he going to the hospital all the time.
Yeah, that too.
The son finally had his transplant. He's really doing well. And I think
brother's
Rob
really-
is well known in town, and I think he's a local guy.
His brother, no.
And my understanding was a lot of the trouble he had with staffing is he thought it was going to be like 600 people, and then like 24 hours before it was significantly more.
Right.
And
Well, it's something else that we can do. I mean, we could go with Rob for the VIP part, and then we can work with Andy to do the band catering and have him do that piece if he's willing to split up
that'd
and
be
do the
great.
2 parts. Because that's a little bit different thing, that's like a buffet and you're really providing more of a personal service to the bands through that portion.
Do we provide beverage? Just remember,
We provide water
water and that's it.
Yeah.
And then there's alcohol.
and then they
So
can
they can
buy
buy.
alcohol. Yeah.
Okay, so then is Whitecap Catering, does that include staff to man all this? Because it doesn't say it in here.
Yes.
It does. It
It
has in
doesn't
the
say
past.
it, I'm aware it does, like they do.
Okay, so the
They have
22 bucks
staff.
includes gratuity and staff.
Yeah.
Where you come to, let's look at Kenny Haggins.
His doesn't say it.
His doesn't say anything. which
but he showed
makes
up and he
me
spoke and he said,
Nervous.
Penny Hagen.
"Oh, Penny, I thought you were talking
I'm going
about."
to go.
I didn't see what you were looking at.
But
So
then you have Rick's, I'm not saying, I like both, I've had both.
They're both really
They're
good.
both really good, but is it for VIP? Do they have an understanding, like when they buy, are they expected with dinner to have more than water?
Well, this doesn't.
Okay,
cover-
good.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
no.
Okay, so then what I'm saying is the $22 covers gratuity and staff. Whereas here, I'm just throwing Kenny out. I'm sorry, Kenny, but you have a whole lot of nothing there. But then you have Ribs by Rob, who says only food, disposable, and just to set up is what does I say it by per plate? Okay, let's say most expensive, 22. Let's say the most expensive.
Well, they have the 17 to the.
yeah.
This was 22, 17, and 20, yes. So his ribs were 22 bucks a plate.
No, his ribs were 17,
She's saying just say ribs.
Say
It's-
ribs.
Say
but it's not.
17. That's
ribs for Rob's at $22.
Oh, like it's most important, like 22 bucks a plate.
Expensive.
Does not include staff.
Oh, I see.
And
You're
does
I
not,
was like, I'm confused.
no, what I'm saying is it's like, you have to break it down. What do you include with that $22 a plate? You get the full of what you need for 22 with this guy. Whereas with this person, you get 22 and you still need to pay for more staff. and gratuity. You cannot not give him a gratuity.
Yeah,
Like,
that's,
you
that's,
have to.
and not.
That is like an unspoken must.
So $17 at 20% is $3.40. Right there, so that brings it to $20.30. And then whatever else the other stuff, so it's gonna be about apples and oranges.
A little bit, but I'm just saying, whatever you end up choosing, because his most expensive plate that he stated during the meeting was $22.
Yeah, and so you choose one, which one that the board.
So if
wanted.
you want to choose the cheapest one, sure, you can do the slider.
What do we have to take off?
Prime rib. I have marked down 20.
And so,
Do we have, is this like the roof type thing? Do we have to take the lowest bid?
No.
No.
I think since it's like a unique service, I mean, it's the type of food that you want, but we are trying to get something that's in that theme. But I think you guys can select, it's like picking a band, you can't get multiple quotes for the exact same thing. What I would add on, like for the labor that he has on here, that was him offering to like provide additional
Yeah,
like,
that-
event staff. His labor
Yeah.
for actually serving the
But it's
food
fed.
is included. So, I mean, they're gonna have to do the portions,
He,
because if
I
they
think
leave
he
it open.
added that in based on his previous experience when there was like, here's the staff I
Yeah.
have, and then, okay, last minute, you're adding more
That's
more
what it said,
people.
that the-
So that one is not relevant. We eliminated that in that.
I mean,
previous.
so I think if you were trying to compare, Andy's talking about pulled pork with barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
And so that would be more like his pulled pork slider, which was what Rob
17.
had at 17 and Andy's got at 22.
So that's where you have to figure how much are we gonna
And I
pay.
think Andy's gratuity is built in. I think he's told me 18%. So if you take that 17 times 0.18 plus 17, that's $20.06. If
And this is more of a meal this year, right? Where you decided to do more of a meal than like the snack type situation.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, like,
Yes.
yeah, that was the feedback that we had gotten from sponsors and the
Yeah.
board, was to go more with picnic style barbecue meal instead of like an hors d'oeuvres type of snack, finger food
Both were
snacks.
really good. Which is on that sponsored feedback that we received this year, there's in the notes section, does say barbecue.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it would be good to, I mean, in my opinion, that if this is the same caterer for the last 2 years, you know, not that all of his dishes are the same, certainly they're not, but I think that's an opportunity to change it up and let them know we listened to them, and we've got one that specializes in barbecue as their primary business, as opposed to unique for this. I mean, he's got his all set up there.
Like I said, I'm completely indifferent on which way we go. I think any one of these three meals our guests are gonna be stoked about.
As long as they're still available.
So technically for plate, ribs would be, if you chose the
full-
cheaper one, you would be under what Andy's quoting.
Yeah, if you
Plus
choose
gratuity.
pork, it's gonna
Plus
be cheaper.
Yeah, if you choose pork. Otherwise, it'd be the exact same price. Well, not really. You still need gratuity on rib.
Yeah. I mean, I think his ribs would be good. That's kind of his thing. And then like I said I can still work with Andy to be part of the fair if he wants to do the bands.
Should we ask like, I don't know, like who's our gold platinum, Nygaard logging or Lewis and Clark? Oh, I guess you're Lewis Clark Bank alums. Classic bodybuilders.
But this group.
Did Martin, it probably wasn't Martin, it's probably
It's John.
John. Did they say anything about the food, like, had the last couple years?
When I talked to him about his
Anybody-
sponsorship, he had said barbecue. I can't recall if he had said a particular name.
So, well, no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just seems that if we're picking barbecue, it just seems to make sense to pick someone who we found is more cost effective, and that's their specialty, as opposed to, they're doing barbecue, or they could do this.
And he's a fair vendor, so he needs
Yeah.
bringing his business here for that.
Yeah, besides personal opinion, I don't really have much else to say. I'll take ribs over pulled pork. And prime rib over either, or beef of any sort.
What kind of consensus do we have on? I don't think we have one.
So our one thing was that I heard though, was it's like not everybody likes pork, but if we do pork ribs, we have pork right here.
Well, I meant like, not everyone likes pulled, like,
Pulled pork.
I'm not a big fan of pulled pork.
Oh,
It's like-
okay, I'm
I know a lot of people-
Right, what's the lowest?
It's like if you want to go with the cheapest thing you
Yeah.
can feed a wedding
Yeah.
for, it's pulled pork, you
Yeah.
know, it's like, oh, great, pulled pork.
Right, I agree.
I should have
And
specified.
we're we're asking their sponsors and want to feel like they're in VIP space, so. Yeah, I think.
Did we buy a 4-H last year?
And pulled pork piece. That's right, it's feeding a lot of people from cheap, and that's not what we're trying to represent, I don't think.
Kind of how I see it, but
Well, if you did pulled pork, it'd probably be within the same ballpark as gonna be even with the two. So, I don't, whatever you guys.
so do we vote on it or what do we do? We're not legally supposed to vote on it or?
Like you said, just if you have some consensus, I think is what the word we would be using.
Okay, so we have three for this, three think drops. And we have two that are white cap.
I like his menu better, but
Pardon me?
I think I like his menu better.
And so we make his consensus.
I think I'm glad I'm not making the dinner for the concert than having to do that. Where I work. I mean,
I know we're kind of
the
just throwing
most-
it at,
The
but
most organized person in the past, which is what she says, white caps.
have you been to the concert before?
Yeah.
Oh, but not, probably not exposed to the VIP area,
No.
so you don't have, okay.
White Cup Catering's been to many events that I've been at. They are way more professional.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think they both do a good job. I mean, I just saw that Works by Rob's all the time when they're open.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know if I've done anything by then, but.
If you've gone, if you've
If I
gone
don't-
to any banquets here, you
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
had white cap
I
catering.
don't even know it.
Yeah. Yeah, they do a lot of things. So these are the options, like food wise, I know it's a specialty, but I know that Andy does just as well on food. So food wise, they're pretty much here, right? Price wise, they're pretty much here. If we're gonna go with the more expensive option for.
Well, we,
Ross.
And then we
Well, I
look,
think the more expensive option, unless you pick prime rib, is white cap.
no, I mean, if we were to go with like, I'm sorry, I'm totally like. Over you.
If you go with ribs, it'll be like 21.50. If you go
If we
with
do-
pulled pork, it'll be like 20.06.
If we do prime rib or whatever.
Prime rib would be 22 and then gratuity.
21.
yeah, it doesn't make sense for us
So-
to compare the prime rib to, because there isn't an equivalent.
Right,
here.
but are we thinking about going to a different level
Well,
of
that-
like?
Should we offer prime rib instead of pork?
But what the prime ribs are we gonna have?
No, so what he said, I know you weren't here, but when he was here, he described he was gonna put it on skewers with vegetables. So that it would be like you can pick up a skewer of vegetables and prime rib and eat a large offer.
Let's assume that we're talking pork. For the we need to have some sort of apples to apples comparison.
Okay, so let's do that. So let's
There's no way
say,
we could do that with.
okay. Okay, so we're not looking at the other,
So then say 20.
I think we need to compare pork ribs for $21 versus pork butt, pulled pork for 22. So
okay, so what's that price difference when we get down to it and it's 600 people? Is
So if you say it's 21,
yeah, it's
Is that right?
21
okay.
with
hold on.
gratuity?
with gratuity, yeah.
Well, was it 12.6 is what I thought?
13,200 for white cap. And then
No, I don't have the paper in front of me. My bad.
so yeah, we're doing the same,
Oh.
the compare for the pulled pork. So for the same thing Andy's providing
That's
is 12,036.
Okay, so what's that price difference?
It is $1,200.
The ribs is more with gratuity, right?
No,
No,
white cap
ribs
is
is
more.
less.
Ribs is less?
Yeah,
With
we have
gratuity?
gratuity, yeah, because it's $18. Yeah, anyways, sorry.
Okay,
That was assuming the pork slider, which compares to what Andy's
Yes.
similar item.
But we prefer the barbecue pork, which we know
Right.
is 17.
And so even if you compare at the
Less.
ribs,
Yeah, pulled
18
pork,
times
pork would be more expensive than.
600.
No, full pork.
Time.
I know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think.
The difference in the ribs is $500 less
Which
for
ones?
ribs by Rob.
Okay.
okay, so meal provided, it's gonna be very similar in quality, they both do a fantastic job. Then we're looking at price and white cap is going to be a little bit higher. Then we're gonna look at professionalism and catering to our VIP. So what does that look like?
And I think that, I mean, as knowing some, lots of people that like to go if you can and go every year. I mean, I'm not saying one's gonna be more professional than the other, but from knowing people, that's important to them.
Yeah,
I know Rob's been doing a bunch of banquets out here. He did OHA.
Everything went fine.
Yeah,
I just,
his stuff has been going smooth.
good. That's.
He's been bringing a lot of people. I think he had like 25 people when he did the last banquet here.
So some other
That's
things
my-
we also need to consider is who's gonna draw in a bigger crowd for more fair sponsors, you know, like who's, like, let's say you say, hey, on the menu, hey, you wanna be a concert sponsor, it's catered. It's either gonna be white cap with pulled pork, or it's gonna be ribs by Rob with his ribs, which I think have a pretty big name for themselves in the area, you know? So that is one thing to think about, like, if I'm looking to buy concert tickets, like, I wouldn't mind getting some ribs by Rob ribs.
is it gonna make a difference if you pay $2,500 though?
What now?
Is if I'm to tell you, hey, we've got a sponsor and we have so-and-so and so-and-so, are you gonna pay that $2,500 just because of a plate?
It would be more enticing.
I don't,
It'd be more enticing, but we won't do it.
If I was on the fence,
I
I
don't think
would.
they're looking at this as what they're getting for their money. It's actually a sponsorship. And sponsorships aren't getting value for this. You're getting a little bit of value for it, but some of this is overriding to help support the fair. And I think so
Like they're buying something.
you know, the thing you're talking about is kind of silly because we're talking about what they're doing. These people are donating money.
Yeah, but we're trying to figure out,
Sponsorship.
we're trying to talk about that.
Yeah,
What I'm saying is that,
it's-
what I'm saying is that you're gonna provide food.
Yeah.
They're gonna be happy to get food. as long as
Okay.
it's hot and everything else.
The one we call out is I think Joel's spot on with the whole pulled pork versus ribs by Rob ribs. Pulled pork is something that we do as, you know, as a family, when you get a whole bunch of people together and you don't want to spend a lot of money, you go Costco and get like $12 worth of
Throw it in the crock pot.
throw it in a crock pot,
Yeah.
put on some barbecue sauce, you're done. But if you're talking, you know, you're outside, you're at an outdoor concert and you could get ribs, to me, that would be something that I think I would appreciate more than, you know, having my company show up with all my team and employees and they're like, oh, we're getting pulled pork, okay, versus ribs.
And also, Rob offers a dessert in that cost.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So white cap, no dessert, ribs by Rob with dessert.
They have a.
Very true.
It was,
My dad.
I guess it would be Hawaiian rolls.
yes, no, we fixed that.
No, the Hawaiian roll is the roll.
We fixed that. That's just sweetness.
You
Okay,
guys
so
hear that over there? So ribs by Rob is gonna have a dessert and white cap does not offer dessert for that price also.
okay, so if we are going with them, did you guys say that you're wanting to do the ribs then?
That's the
Yeah.
tough part for me. Cause I would love
Yeah, I
prime
know.
rib, but I don't wanna spend that.
No, that doesn't, I don't think it's something, we don't actually, I noticed the price, noted the price of $17 for the the ribs. I don't know what the prime rib is, but I think ribs is a reasonable.
It says 22. And I don't know where he said, I think he said he could do pulled pork or ribs for 17, but I don't remember which it was. Or he might have said 18 for the ribs. I don't remember. Which puts it at only 500 cheaper than white cow.
Gotcha. All right.
Do you think that we'd run into any like people like, oh my God, I have to eat this type of situation with the ribs and being like,
I think his ribs are great. I would sit at home and eat them, but I could see.
I don't want to eat them. I'm like dressed up and like,
Want to make a mess and like next.
yeah,
But I mean, they're great.
they're
super good.
freaking delicious. But that would be my
I
only.
see what you're saying.
Can he, well, as a female, that's the first thing I thought of when you were like ribs. I'm like, yeah,
My makeup, like with white on my
but
makeup.
most of the men will chow down on ribs, which is great. Maybe he could have some extra ribs.
It's burritos. You want to cut it off. His ribs they're not hard to take off the bone.
Well,
So maybe.
then it's a fact of, I don't know. You're not going to get me to vote for pulled pork.
It's already there, I guess.
Okay,
Is he?
it's up to you. Good luck. It's on you. Next time.
Yeah. There we go. That way we can point everyone to you if they're unhappy.
Haggis it is. I said they're all gonna provide a good meal for them.
But we do have to let them know like on ball roads. Because I know for a fact that Andy has had weddings that he has not booked because he's been trying to get this to happen. And I know Rob has done the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, he probably actually hasn't because he's gonna be here anyways.
Well, but he still has to hide his ribs.
Yeah,
That's an
well,
addition.
and it's the sheet. He's got to bring get some more.
It's an addition.
Okay, so the other thing with the concert, we need to find this RV, the second RV.
I think I can do that.
And then the third thing, and I'm pretty sure that it's locked in, but I haven't been able to connect with Brittany for a month, but Eric did say that her bus would be acceptable for the transport.
It's so.
So just need to get her to call me back,
Well, do you want me to, what do you want me to?
just to make sure that that's still a
Okay.
good functioning, right thing to do. And
Saw something on Facebook today. Somebody's commenting about that for a different event. So I was like, oh, we still need to.
need transport.
Yeah.
Besides that, with the concert, I think it's really just the sponsorship drive. The total that we were at so far was 43,500, and so our goal is 60. So we are
So I would.
getting there.
on that. Are we not like, because I mean, I'm a C266 here and we're planning on 600. Are we behind where we have been in the past on, like at this point last year, were we at like 5 years?
I don't know where we were at necessarily at this point last year. We did definitely start slow on our sponsorship engagement.
We also.
It has picked up in the last 2 weeks.
So the other thing too is that with these packages, we lowered the number of tickets for the package. So that number is going to be a little skewed because of that piece of it.
I have a couple of phone calls to make myself, like Class of Distributing, I haven't talked with yet. That's the other one that I was gonna talk with was Hampton. They haven't sponsored the last 2 years, but they had years before that. I know they were going through some tough stuff with mill closures and all of that, but they might be open to it. There are still a couple more that I have on my list to reach to, and then
And I have a
there
couple.
was
that are on here, but that aren't.
there was a question I asked you all last week about, the ticket amount. It sounded like there would be some other sponsors that would sign up if the ticket amounts were, no, it wasn't ticket amount. It was the 21 and under.
Well, both, but yeah.
I think the 21 and over thing is the bigger deal. And I would be down to take that off there.
Yeah, because post made mention that the amount of people were, diminished from last year, but they still renewed for platinum, so.
Yeah,
Will it have any impact on those that already committed? That was my only concern. If they did not.
I think-
kids around or-
I think they'd probably be excited about it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think it'll be an issue.
I,
They'll up their number.
and I don't know necessarily one way or the other. I mean, my personal opinion, I mean, it's the county fair. I'd love to be able to bring my family, especially if I had like teenage age children, you know, but I could also see the other side where I want to go and have fun. I don't want to be around kids.
Yeah.
So,
I would just comment, we were in the reserved area and there was a kid there and I got hit by flying food because he was spinning around and I was like, you know, if I pay this
yeah.
and I had some kid that was out of control, I would probably be a little frustrated, but
I
That's
think
just a
the
no.
main
that's my
issue,
concern about checking with those that have already contributed to let them know that that's going to be a change before you announce.
Yeah,
it.
I've had two feedbacks both ways. Two people that were like, well, I'd do it
Yeah.
if the
I
kids
understand.
were invited, but
Understand.
then other ones like, I don't really want kids in there. So it's hard to say.
Yeah.
Make 2 sections of VIP.
Yeah, I don't-
it's, and it never was 21 and older. It's just been the last 2 years. And that was
Okay.
really part of the fallout of how chaotic the 2022 fair was. Because there was just so many people that came and there was a lot of issues with
It was bad.
the staff. I mean, Jason, I don't think started until like 2 weeks after now that year. So could you, I mean, I couldn't even imagine if I was starting in 2 weeks and had to figure out how to put all this stuff on. And
When
then-
it was,
I have not, no.
It has.
Yes.
I've been, yeah.
Okay.
It's been
when
like
it
that for a
was, what was the minimum age or was it?
And a lot of it you guys will see is it's not the little kids running around because all of them are normally up on the hill. It's more so those like teenager kids, like we've got, you know, like let's say we like Jason Crush Hour, he's got a boy that just graduated high school, him and his girlfriend, and he's got his 20-year-old kid that works for him. Like, so those are more so the kids you're going to see. They're
Yeah,
not
or like
going to see
18-year-old choker setters from Nygards.
And I don't
Like,
think,
yeah, exactly.
I don't think it was really like, the issue was that there was underage kids in there drinking. Well, there certainly was. There certainly was some. I think it was like, there's a lot of severely intoxicated adults around and should the children really
It
be?
is, yeah, it was more so how the alcohol was being served. It wasn't the children. Like,
Okay.
Yeah.
it was, there was a major error in how alcohol was being served and monitored and all of that. Like,
Personally, I'd like the minors to be there. I just was
yeah,
saying some of the feedback I got.
Yeah.
I think sometimes too, like these people giving out the tickets, people are like,
their
sometimes,
families.
yeah, and they're like, oh, so like I was offered VIP tickets last year. I have a son, so I couldn't take him because I was like, well,
Yeah.
so I think you're gonna see that. I mean, it's a family
Yeah.
event. You're gonna have people
It's
wanting
the
to
county
get
fair.
tickets out. Yeah, that they're like, oh, sorry, can't take them because we want to bring Joe and Susie.
David, Jill, and Susie.
I think if we could just communicate to those that have already committed, give them a day or two to provide any concerns or feedback.
I mean, I can look down this list and every single person on this list, I guarantee you is not a problem.
Well, we
Every
have,
single
this
person.
is only, 15, not even 15.
Yeah, then that
Yeah.
shouldn't be an issue. I think it's just being proactive, just to make sure we respect the fact that they provided the funds with a certain set of expectations that, and they may, and it also may see if they want to bump up their level, because they may want to have more people.
Yeah.
That's also a possibility.
I mean, we could even just do one blind CC'd email to all of them and
Yeah.
say, can you guys get back to us in the next 2
Yeah.
days?
Yeah.
If this is,
Yeah.
if you guys have a massive objection to
Right,
this.
exactly. And then if you want to increase your level, let us know.
Yeah.
Did we decide, are we gonna be selling VIP tickets? Do you remember, did we decide on that?
I think we intend to, but I think at least what I understood the goal was to try to get our key sponsors in and then sell kind of those surplus tickets till we got to that 600 number. But we don't really want to be in the same situation we were with Rob, where now there's 800 people.
Oh,
And who was it from the neighborhood meeting that wanted?
That was Morrissey.
that was Jen and she's.
Well, it was Shirley. Yeah, sure. Jen may have been speaking for Shirley, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was Shirley.
And I already talked to Jen too, so she's like, as soon as that's off, there's two of them that are willing to do sponsorships.
I mean, that could get us to our
Yeah.
60K number is our goal, right?
Nice.
And that,
Yeah, you never responded. to it. I'm like, hey,
She's
advocate
called
for
me.
this, and, just let me know. And I'm like, okay, I guess it's not it.
No, she's called me quite a bit.
right? Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
So we don't need 600 people. We really only need, maybe 400 to 450. Because if you look at this, we should, last year we did 435 tickets.
Yeah.
And now it's only 286. So the 600 is a great number. But again, it's not critical. If we can get 450, our money's going to be about the same and our liability is going to be a little bit less.
Well,
And the
be
service
more
will be better
expensive.
because it's not going to be, packed in.
And maybe we could sell more than $60,000 worth of sponsorship. It's like John pointed out, still was thinking in my head where $1,000 meant 10
Yeah.
tickets, in which
So
they're scaled. So
$60,000
it's
in
not.
sponsorship is probably about 450 tickets in that neighborhood.
And then when you were gonna do individual VIP was gonna be, how much was that?
No, it's supposed to be 150 or
I can't
165.
recall.
Okay.
Yeah. So we will reach out to these already committed ones and let them know, and then I'll follow up with you guys by the end of the week on what the feedback is and if we've made the decision to go forward. Okay. What else were we at?
They thought it.
I mean, I think that's all of like the big stuff to go over. We did provide you guys with the list of approved vendors. Oh yeah, the copy. That's the conversation to have. We need to do our map, but we are basically at what we said our vendor sign up would be. At this point, there's a concern of signing up any more vendors because there may not be space for them. So that's something we're trying to work on this week, is to work on our footprint
And that's using the space up that's right here, right?
along
So
the
we're not
barn.
having
Yeah.
those weird, awkward open areas.
It's planning to use along the barn, like where your mom was 2 years ago,
Yeah.
and then also over by where the dumpster is.
Okay.
And so we're definitely running out of space. So the coffee vendor, I've talked with them again. They said that they would be willing to do it if we charge them a 10% commission instead of the 15% commission. They are just like, that's typical what they see in them. I say, I get it. I said, I'm not going to guarantee it, but I figured I would at least ask them the question on what would make it doable for them. And like I was saying, some of the conversations, like, at what point do we have to pay somebody to come and buy coffee? And so, if you guys are open to that, then we can get them booked up and then we have that piece done.
I think if we address it as a introductory offer,
Yeah.
let them see how much they can make and not guarantee, 10% for next year. Because we don't want to make a precedent of this and then tell the other people I'm only paying 10%.
Well, and it's something else to think about too. It's like, do we have a different rate for a coffee vendor? Are their margins that small that we're tough
I
for
would
them?
say many moons ago, I used to own a coffee house and I had a booth here for quite a few years. And 15% was steep
Yeah.
because your margin of profit is so small. And
Yeah.
then staffing it on top of it. It's like, hey, can you volunteer?
Yeah.
Basically begging your family members to come.
Yeah.
I think, the market
And you're
has
working much longer.
at least our market here, there's so many flipping coffee shops, and for them not to
Yeah.
be lining up to come to the fair tells us that there's something there that's not
Yeah.
worth it to them to come.
I don't drink coffee, but I want everyone to be fully caffeinated, so I think that 10% seems a reasonable this year commitment offer.
And then next year with the carnival, maybe we'll have more interest because there'll be ideally double the foot traffic.
I'd say take it. But while you got one of the.
Anybody have concerns with that?
Do not.
No, I think that's.
Strongly
fine.
encourage it.
I think coffee profits are lower than food profits.
Are we going?
Oh, yeah, it is so.
Um,
Milk's expensive. All of it.
Coffee?
Yeah, so expensive.
Everybody's.
Coffee was expensive.
Yeah, everybody's paid their deposits.
Will we talk to them to see if they'd be willing to open early?
They said they would be coming on Tuesday if they come.
like early in the morning.
Yeah, like the
I'm
most,
sure they will. I mean, they're gonna be.
no, but please verify.
I can, yeah, but
What are-
they're almost certainly gonna want to cater to their clientele.
So, like, it'd be nice if they
Are they gonna be required to stay open as late as the restaurant if they
Yeah,
show up early?
7:30 even
7:30.
before the morning meeting happens, like.
That would be our expectation. I think they
We
do.
make our children do their tours.
Correct, after we're up at 5 and in the
Yeah,
bar.
let him know, maybe they don't know that people are gonna be living here on the campgrounds.
I've told him that he was here for the car show and I
Oh,
walked him
okay.
around. I showed him everything.
Okay.
But I didn't tell him that the fee was 15%, just thinking like, this guy's doing events. Obviously, he knows that you have to pay a booth fee.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
like all the information's in the packet without me explaining everything. It's like,
Yeah.
check out the packet if you have any questions.
But does he have a? He's coming from Canis to do this job.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
They're doing events. I think they're really trying to expand that part of their
Okay. Wow.
thing. I mean, they came for the car show.
Do they have a trailer?
They had a trailer and then like an extra tent that they pop up for like their guests to wait under, so that I mean, especially like when the coffee it's easy. Yeah, we're loaded with food vendors.
Everybody was complaining.
We're really trying to figure out if we have room for all of the vendors that we have applied so far.
Yes, did they ever?
Not that noodle guy. We have the Thai place.
But not the
Cool, no,
noodle
curry.
that have been here
No.
for
Nope.
decades.
They were contacted multiple times.
And,
Not-
what's it, they called the donut people. They're so sweet.
ML Express.
They.
So,
Yeah.
those are the ones pending, those are the ones
Oh,
pending.
gosh.
Yeah, you're good, you're good.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
It looks like.
Okay, Kyle, I have a question about fair. Board members, do we get like a badge or a mailing or something?
We'll do a lanyard that says Fair Board Member, and then on the back, it will have, right, well, hopefully the people are happy and they're not making the complaint. And like, it's the Super Bowl for them. There's some motions. The back will have a bunch of QR codes, so it'll have like the fair guide, ticket link, so if you wanted to buy concert tickets, and so there's stuff like that that'll be.
And we talked about if, say we walk around, and there's garbage not picked up, is it also gonna have, like, is there gonna be a method of communication to?
Yeah, I mean, you
Installation.
can call
But
my
you can
cell.
just
I'll
do
have
it.
that. There is
So when you
radios.
see
We have,
birds flying all over with garbage, you might be like, hey, all hands on deck.
yeah,
Poultry barn, we have lots of versus and dustbins.
we've got,
I'm not worried.
I have some radios.
Problem, bike breaks out, how you get somebody in the right spot kind of thing.
Yeah,
Like having a radio and then put like the radio channel, like put that to the lanyard, so you've got that.
Oh, we were gonna have a radio? We don't have to, we could,
If you want, or.
we'll have cell phones, so like, I'm just saying, like, just an idea, like, how, if something needs to be escalated. Yeah.
Do you guys have radios?
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
I may be in a wheelchair.
Pineapple companies.
It's its own frequency though,
It's like
so I can't figure out what
passcode.
frequency it is. I've
Carried.
tried to get the radio guys to tell me. They're like, we didn't sell you these, we don't know.
Oh, we figured out.
Yeah.
You need more, or what's your issue?
More would be good. I mean, I'd like to be able to pick it up on my radio so I can have it scanned and I can jump between the different ones.
What kind of radio do you have? I could help you with the
That
radio.
thing.
You have a valve thing? I can help you with that.
But these other ones, I can't remember what they're called. I'll show them to you.
Yeah.
I think we have like 8 radios. And then security will just be using like regular.
Do you roll screen?
Yeah, the kids' place. Oh, she's on the phone. So, do you guys have any questions? I know we've talked quite a bit.
More chaotic,
Yeah, and I,
but was very productive, so.
Yeah.
Big time.
These spots with all the rabbit hole and
okay.
poultry show and.
That's where I'm at too. Like, I'm gonna be doing stuff, so like, I don't know.
Floating. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know, but I'll help.
I'll be here all week.
You know what I mean? Like,
I also have to work.
I was always kind of planning on helping out with that stations.
that activity,
I mean, like, I can't get volunteers the whole time. I was kind of planning on taking.
doing
like,
most of it
these
yourself.
People are gonna say, well, I could be here 3 hours and then this, and then it's like, well, these random times I'm gonna have to be there, you know?
Really quickly, I heard through a grapevine, we got some petting zoo, and I see it in red on this list. Would you tell me to about
So I don't know what grapevine you have. Or are you just asking because you saw it there?
that? No, someone told me.
I have tried contacting, I haven't booked it with them yet. I've tried contacting all of the talent agencies that I would get ground sacks through, and this guy has a petting zoo that is available. It's the $1,800 a day.
I don't know.
$1,700. I think at this point.
And if you want to feed them, you gotta give them money to get them to feed them. It's not included.
Harvest thingy. I bring home all the animals. They're pretty.
Well, it's not like we could charge you $1,800.
So what you're saying is you'll do it for 1,500 per day?
I mean, which group do you think it is? I'm trying to find the message. And so really what I told him at first was I wasn't sure how much of our budget we had available still, because if you look at the entertainment part, we're pretty tight and it doesn't leave us much room if we've missed something. But the other concern that I have is where are they even going to sit at this point? Because we do have so much already taking up footprint.
By the office.
Okay. I don't have the total. And I can't connect to the server. Let me find this picture.
I remember you telling me, but I thought it was like 8,000. I don't remember how much it was, but.
Well, that was a different one that they got booked. And so then this guy found me another one, and he actually tried following up with me this week. So I'm looking in the wrong spot. Here we go. Found it.
Holy moly, it's like a whole.
I mean, he's not bringing this tent. He's just bringing the animals, but he's showing he's got. Well, what's he say here? Found another family zoo, 10 by 20 tent. Oh, maybe they are bringing a tent. 10 goats, 3 sheep, a capybara, a pig, some small animals like guinea pigs, rabbits. They have an RV, so we wouldn't have to do lodging. $750 a day.
$1,750 a day.
Yeah. They would only run for 8 hours of the day.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. And
I
there's
mean, that's
animals here.
probably one of the cheaper things that we would book. Unless, I mean, you're.
I mean, there's, this is retirement plan right here.
Sales.
No, thanks. Look at that cat. She's crying. We can't do it.
I mean, let's be honest. I have goats and pigs in my mom's house.
We can
Bring freaking-
together. I have like 15 minutes.
Is that a chinchilla?
Yes.
I have no idea.
It looks like a chinchilla.
That's cute.
Yeah, I just.
So that's a bar right there. That would be cool to
That
see.
thing is so.
That is cool.
Look at it. How much just for that?
How often do you get to pet a capybara?
That's pretty cool.
I've seen them at rabbit shoulders a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Really?
but
I've
it's
never
been
seen
years.
So again, it's tight for a budget. I think we could probably swing it, but it's one of those things where I need to make sure I'm not
There's
missing
animals
something
here.
else.
I know you can't necessarily pet them, but for free you can see them
Yeah.
by walking through the barn.
Yeah, you can. Especially if the 4-H member is by the animal.
Right. That's where I think that's kind of takes away from the focus on, showing off the
On the
animals.
other coin, though, there are no what do you say? There's no llamas, there's no capybaras, there's
We
no
have an alpaca.
an alpaca.
There you
There's
go.
no-
Filter on that one. I think we've got enough going on. Don't have much time. That's my opinion.
I'm not sure where they would go at this point because
I
that
was just
area.
about to ask, if we didn't do that, could we fit other vendors that are paying vendors?
Well, potentially, but even then, I'm not certain. I mean, we have mutton busting up there. That's gonna take that whole area. The grass area next to 4-H is gonna have that Civil War camp.
Oh, that's.
I'm trying to, I mean, any other spot, we would have to put them on asphalt. or put
Anybody
benches.
want to have the petting zoo and wants to fight for it?
No,
Okay.
I mean, the capybara is cool, but not.
I mean, we can buy them for us.
Another thing that I would highlight, like we have this budget and I don't know where these numbers came from before me, but I think a lot of it is really a function of we had Trace Atkins the year before I was here, so the budget was much higher and we've still been spending the money as if we've had an act like, and so we've got a $327,000 budget. We only made $220,000 last year on the fair, so we're already going to be losing money almost certainly on the fair, unless the concert sells really, really well.
I don't think Trace Atkins is gonna draw a little more than.
You think
who
than
was it?
Rodney Atkins?
Rodney, yes. Which Rodney Atkins is great. He's not Trace Atkins.
So, it is one of those things too. This list here pretty much has the stuff that we paid for. This lower one is some no charge stuff. There's some other activities that we have going on as well, but it's kind of broken up by the lines in our budget. I can kind of just skim through these if you want. Bounce and Battle is some inflatable slides and obstacle course. Ride Hard is the mud busting.
How much is that costing us?
It's $10,300 for the rental and $1,000 for the lodging for the guy to stay for all the days, and then we have to pay an additional $2,000 on
And next year we won't have that though.
No, right? No,
I think this is the last
I mean,
year.
I think next year we'll still do like a kiddie inflatable, and that's a separate one that we get from the Kids Love Bounce House. So we're paying $3,000 to get 2 small ones from them.
Have you looked at the price of those? Maybe it cost effective over 2 or 3 years to buy them.
The maintenance.
I'd-
Yeah.
I'd say the ones that we're getting from Kids Love Bounce House could be doable, but the ones that Bounce and Battle has, they're huge. Rascal Rodeo is on Wednesday. That's the adaptive rodeo. Seth Magician will do 1 stage show and 3 roaming acts each day. Oregon Photo Booth is just a photo booth. It's free. You can get strips. We have $8,000 budget for bands. I've only booked about a third of the bands, but I have a massive list of interested bands. It's more just getting the schedule on the stage really dialed in to know exactly when to
I
book
have
them.
one thing I know you guys did the Hispanic bands last year.
Mhm.
Saturday is not a good night. Everyone's working.
Yeah.
In the Hispanic community, so a Wednesday night, that's their night. that
Yeah.
they Take off.
What I have in consideration right now, because Wednesday night is when we do our talent show, and it takes up the whole stage that night. But Thursday night to be able to,
Then you're gonna be like staying late and then, well, as long as you get volunteers that are committed to.
well, just what we were thinking, and I talked with Cornelio, a guy that I've worked with a lot to find Hispanic bands. He thought that Thursday night would work, and he was gonna work on trying to find some options for us, but having that basically the last show of the night on the front stage. So
Go on the first stage.
going from, what would that be, 6:30 or 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock on the stage out front, and having that be a Hispanic band. I had already booked another band to play the slot before that. That's not a Hispanic band, which is unfortunate because it would have been good to just have 2 Hispanic bands playing that night. Boom, boom. But maybe next year that's a conversation to have with the talent show and say, let's move the talent show to Thursday night and do a Hispanic night on Wednesday. But it sounded like Thursday could be an option and it would be better than Friday or Saturday.
And they like to spend money at fairs.
Exactly. And then we'll have a carnival next year as well, which is going to be another huge draw. So yeah, it's definitely a market. There was a little concern this year just with all of the political stuff, about showing up, and I mean, at least the person that I talked to in a lot of the other events, they said that they were seeing it on the attendance at their events. And then now the last 2 weeks has been another
Mhm.
challenging one. So,
So on the,
but I think we want to stick with that.
for the
Doing
Thursday night, it would be good then for us to get a kind of an idea, like do kind of a head count, maybe get some feedback from everybody to see if the people that are there for that portion of the concert on Thursday night.
Yeah.
Or the singing, the band, to see, just get some feedback, just kind of check in with them. That way you can see it's like, did Thursday work really good for you? Is Wednesday better? You know, that kind of thing. So those people that actually showed up to see, to actually ask them what they think of it. What else they would be looking for, especially if you can get, you know, a group that's really interested in it.
So we got $8,000 for that front stage for all of the slots we still have left. Got a reptile show that'll be Wednesday and Thursday, and then in the same spot on Friday and Saturday, there's a shear to shawl demonstration where these gals come in and they spin the yarn one day, and then the next day they move it and then make some garments.
They don't actually shear.
They don't shear it on site. I think these gals are out of their shearing stage of their, but they did want to be able to connect with the fiber type animals at the fair as well. Yeah, Rodney Atkins is 40K. Thomas Mack is our opener. It's 5K. We've got Jackie Roar on Saturday night. That will be a free concert that you just get into with your admission. And it's really just trying to get something to keep people here at night after the auction, something to happen. Because my first year here, basically 6 o'clock and the fair was vacated. It's like, there's got to be something here. So that's our goal with that. This sound, light, lodging, it's about $20,000 to get the lighting and the sound for the concert. The stage is another $7,000. Catering is plugged in about $6,000 for the band. We had been using a 10K catering number, but that was with, you know, more of the finger foodie type meal. Looks like this one's going to be more like 12K. So we'll update that. Corn pit bingo prices after the talent show. We've been doing bingo, and it's just because it's really tough to book something after the talent show, not knowing how many people are going to sign up and participate and all of that. You don't want to cut the talent show off early to be able to have something else. So we've been buying her prizes and doing that. Slim and Curly is a grounds act. They just walk around and engage folks. Bear Hollow Chainsaw Art. That's supposed to be a T. They'll be up here doing 4 chainsaw carvings per day. Cody Williams is another grounds act. He does balloon animals type thing. Mike Breed is a guy that'll just kind of be an MC, voice of the fair type of thing on the stage. And then if we have other MC needs, like the Rascal Rodeo, he needs, if they need an announcer, which she said she does, he can fill in and do that stuff. But one of the things that we think has been missing from the fair the last couple of years is just having somebody making those announcements that says, hey, make sure you get your Rodney Atkins tickets. Hey, the Mutton Busting Championships at 5 p.m. And just making those kind of announcements all day long at every intermission.
What is his like sound system going to be like? Is it,
He'll be using the stage sound.
so is it only on the stage?
Yeah,
Is
he
there any
will.
way to get some of it into the barn? Is there like,
There's no way to connect those two. He would have to go into the barn and make announcements from the auction. Yeah.
I mean, it would just be like having that conversation with them and like being able to get them into the barn and do that, getting them over to, you know, the Rascal Rodeo and have those, you know.
We're paying him to be here all day, so
Yeah.
I'll connect with Brooke and
Right.
see what
We
that
forget, like,
sounds.
we're glued in the barn and you don't.
Yeah, you don't,
it's hard.
You're right. But yeah.
Axe throwing, like we're gonna be putting that on ourselves, but we've got to pay an additional $1,000 on our insurance for that. This rest of the stuff is expenses, portable toilets, dumpsters, the stage out front, lights, generators, carts, fencing.
and we bought more garbage cans, right?
We
So
do.
have more.
Yeah, we bought another 30, I think, or so garbage cans from last year. And then down below are stuff that doesn't have a charge for us. So the ride truck, they actually pay us to be here. So they'll be coming. The Living History, they're going to be here for free. I say Army, but that's really the National Guard. He's supposed to come. He bailed last year because he was getting divorced like that week. He's like,
Oh.
I'm not coming. We're getting divorced. My life sucks. But when I talked to him this year, he was like, oh yeah, I remember that. And he's like, my settlement is supposed to be like the day before the fair for his divorce. He's like, so hopefully I can come there and celebrate. So he's planning to come unless something goes wrong. This is his conversation. Car show, that's again no charge. Stick horse race has been something Brittany's put on with the Rascal Rodeo. NS Tractors, that's the folks that have said they would provide.
Where are they gonna be?
The NS Tractors. I'm not sure yet. That's another thing. Like I've got to get down with the map. We put together the list of all the vendors in their sighting today, and I'm working on the footprints of all of the activities. And then we're going to be working on some sighting so that we can make sure we're not painting ourselves into a corner. And I don't even know exactly what he has in mind for what he'd like to bring. So I've reached out to him. I haven't gotten an answer back yet, but I just reached out to him. Face painting and caricature, those are actually paid vendors. They're retail vendors, but they're kind of an activity. So I'll put this on this list of things for people to do. The sheriff's office, we rented a dump tank. They're going to run it for us. So that's going to be fun. Yeah, there's some other little types of things that we have as well that just aren't on this list, but that's basically the roadmap to the fair.
But for next year, I'd like to see if we can maybe incorporate some logging stuff in there, because I know we've had a riff with the loggers for years ago. And I think it's about time we reach out and see if we can start doing.
So we have tried quite a few times and we've ran into not being able to line anything up. A lot of it happens to be that we fall on the same weekend or week time frame as Vernonia Days. And so hopefully with that week changing for us, that will help us out a lot, being able to do something like that.
It'd be sure nice. I've had a bunch of people ask me why we don't have it.
Yeah.
The biggest reason is because this building's here now.
That too.
Space. With this building here, if we could get some.
I mean, I don't know that it will be your typical, like what we used to see growing up. But I think that there's very well a possibility of doing some sort of piece of that, whether that's on this side of kind of things or whether it's, whatever day we make work.
There are some traveling lumberjack folks that do national, just like these Bear Hollow folks. But it's the same concept that I'm saying. It's just the week we are right now is so busy for fairs. There's more fairs happening in the country that week than there are any other time. And so we've reached out to 3 or 4 companies and they're all like, no, we're booked at Josephine County, or we're booked at Redmond, or we're both booked at this that week. And so having us be a week earlier, that may work really well, not only for us because we'll be able to get them, but really well for them if they can come to us and then go to Josephine and they can double down on their route. It's going to be nice, but that would be something.
Camp here in between.
Yeah, exactly.
Early is still before Vernonia Day, so it's in practice for
And
those
depending on the type of activity they do, they may even recruit locals to participate in the competition, but they would also be bringing their own performers, and they would do stuff like log rolling and have the climb, the climate fast, speed chop, crosscut saw type of stuff.
hot sauce.
Hot sauce.
My favorite.
Me too.
I think, like, again, what you're saying with what they've done traditionally out here with digging and putting the poles in the ground and falling trees, I don't think that they would necessarily be one of these operations that we would be able to
throw down the road and see.
would be falling trees, but they would be able to potentially do like a speed climbing type of thing. The other one that I know they had here that would probably still be really tough is like the choker setting and actually yarding an animal a tree out. But there's other places on the property that we could potentially do something like that.
But everyone we talk to says they don't want to be thrown in the back 40.
Yeah. Well, and if the carnival is happening and
Yeah.
more people are over there, right? And then it's part of the whole thing.
So I think it's a good point to bring up, that we want to talk about what future years. I think for our August meeting is a time to start some of that conversation, like what went well, didn't go well. for the fair, but also what
These-
do we start putting on the list for next?
Hard to get activities that we really
Yeah,
want,
start
so
getting
we
ahead of
can
it.
reach to them early.
I think 2026 is gonna be a real change
Oh,
year
big
for us, and we're gonna have to really make a big splash in 2026 and come out with some really strong
It sounds like the carnival is gonna help.
carnival, a lot of acts coming in, maybe look for a little dynamite headliner.
And I think having a band Saturday night, like you were saying, that's gonna help a little too.
And everybody wants a free concert, so maybe you can find somebody. You know,
Right now, we're dumping a lot of money into these activities that are not generating revenue,
Mhm.
which isn't typical for a fair's operation. And so like, I mean, the Timber Carnival is probably not going to generate revenue. It could generate sponsorship for sure. I think it could easily do that, but I don't know how you charge somebody to watch it, but we're doing things now like buying inflatables that we won't have to do. So there's 10 grand right there that could go towards putting on a timber show. And then it can go in the same similar footprint that those are happening now.
Okay, so did we have any other items on there? Can't remember,
I think you guys hit on everything that I needed from you. And then if there's just any other things that you guys have thought about that come up that you want me to be regrouped on. Between now and then, I mean, I'm trying to be face down focused as much as I can in fair planning, but I'm also having to chase events.
Can we start trying to get like every other day posts happening? I don't mind helping put them together and just sending them to you. But I think the more that we can get different posts just going and going and going, the more it's going to generate that stream of getting people's faces.
Yes, and getting this agreement piece kind of dialed in where that just had some outliers. The next step that I really have with them is collecting their marketing materials. We need all of that stuff by July 1st, no matter what. But once I start getting that, then we can start dumping. We've got Reptile Guy coming. We've got all these people who are starting to pop it up, but we can also hit on the vendors as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got vendors, we got the bands, we got the sponsors, so there's a
Yeah.
lot of this build up that we've been doing, and I'll make these templates like what we did today. Maybe something similar for shout outs, but now that these things are coming in, we've got content and we've got
Yeah.
flyers for community competitions that are being built.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot of this build up.
Yeah.
We'll shoot it out.
And even if we could even just like for a week for the concert, like if we have it, not even just the flyer, but like different Rodney Atkins pictures that we can post and say who's excited or like just super short just to get in those feeds. Like it doesn't have to be the full like write up, super, super short, one picture. Cause that's just the algorithm of them is like, I don't see half of the stuff I feel like just because it doesn't, when we post just every once in a while, it doesn't flow into them, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, yeah. And maybe that's something we do too, is one of those posts for the concert, like, is there a way to track like who shares it at all? Because if we were to do like, hey, win a free ticket, share this, like and share the post or something. I don't know how people. track that,
Sometimes
but-
it does and sometimes it doesn't. I think it has a lot to do with the settings of the person that shared it, and if we can see it or not.
Well, if they're following you though. it
You're
should
set up
show.
as a
Yeah, you're showing,
business
That's
page, right?
business page, yeah.
Yeah.
I know on our church website, you can see,
it's like
it
in the
shows it
settings.
shows in a graph, sort of like.
Yeah.
Did it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It
So
shows
that might be something fun to do, just to do like, hey, like and share this post and you'll be entered into a drawing for 2 general admission tickets or something.
Yeah, advertising, marketing. We do have some stuff through Ohana that will start popping out with some digital ads. That'll start cycling for the one just for the fair, one just for Rodney, and one just for Jackie. So there will be some digital ads and some carousel ads that will start popping up on both of our social media. Even though we don't have access into our Instagram, it will still spoof from our Instagram page, which just perpetuates our problem with more people following our Instagram page and connect to it. But we have a good lead right now. We'll see if it sorts out on getting access to that page.
Who has it, you mean? Who's it?
It was created by a prior county employee that actually worked in the county manager's office. And she went through all the effort and got it verified and all that. And we've even tried recovering her email account to try to recover the.
Oh, right.
And then, but when we hit the thing to recover, it just says unable to do this. It's like, come on. Ugh.
Do we have contact with that person still, or is that?
We do. We've tried phone number, name. And we can get into the email, but it won't even send it. And we get the notifications at our fair email when people engage with our page.
And they're cooperative, the person that has it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but again,
Yeah.
we're working with the people that actually support the county's website. They have a whole thing because it's connected with like the archiving of social media pages. They have a whole service with that because it's, I mean, our page is a public record. And so it's supposed to be archived. Hey, good meeting.
Can you guys post the transcripts a day or two or two this person to see if you can get them? I need to.
Yes, they are.
Okay, that way.
You mean a sponsorship or you think they'd be interested in a concert sponsorship or just for the fair?
Yeah, I didn't have it built up.
So volunteers,
This
is
is
it 3 or 4 hours?
That's the secretary, that's the owner, she's the president.
I think last year it was.
I know they donated $10,000.
I'm just curious because
Oh,
yeah,
that's different. You answered a question about volunteers. You're asking about board members. Is